Hello, and welcome back to ToryTalks. Um, oh, I thought I would just spend a little bit of time today, first trying to beat this boss and get rid of all these people, but also a topic that's kind of been on my brain lately. On my brain lately is the idea of religious conversion. I follow some people on Twitter. One woman in particular, who she's an atheist, but she's very friendly toward religion, kind of in the way, basically she says, I'm an atheist, I choose not to identify with any particular religious tradition the way that we traditionally think of religion, but I think that that's an appropriate way for somebody to order their life, as long as they do it in a way that isn't oppressive to others. And I think that's really interesting, and I can really get behind that. Like, I know people who have become atheists because they had really lousy experiences with religion. And I think that's a really respectful way to go about doing that. I was thinking specifically about the way that we talk about Christian conversion, especially for children and young adults. We talk about inviting Jesus into your hearts. Oh, yes, I love that thunderbolt. Oh, that's awesome. We talk about inviting Jesus into your heart, or, I ask Jesus to come live in my heart. And really, that's not quite biblical language. And it's not to say that, any kind of language that we use has to be biblical, but I sometimes wonder where that came from. And I know it's sort of based in the, I believe it's John, where Christ says, behold, I stand at the door and knock, and if any man would open the door, or if any individual would open the door, then I would come in to that person. And he's using an analogy to say, here I am, it's up to you. Let me know if you want me to come in your house and be a part of your life. In Semitic culture at that time, and really, just in general, when you invite someone into your home, like, that's a really communal move. That's a really... that's expressing something very important to that person. You didn't just let anybody into your house. So that was a big idea, and that was something that was meaningful to those people. I don't really like using the invite Jesus into your heart language. Not because I don't think it communicates something, but because I think that it leaves a lot out. There's the safe block I never used. I think it leaves a lot out, and I was trying to think of other religious traditions that utilize a similar idea of thinking about the conversion process. And I can't think of any. That doesn't mean they don't exist. But just kind of thinking about kind of some of the major traditions in world history, I was thinking about Islam. In Islam, if you want to become a Muslim, you make a public confession. You say, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. And that's what you say and believe, and then you go through the 5 pillars of Islam. You give alms, what is it? I'm getting the actual things mixed up with the Arabic words, but I think zakat is almsgiving. There's a prayer. There's the pilgrimage or the Hajj to Mecca. So, if you're an able-bodied Muslim and you're able to go, then you need to go to Mecca. And there are a couple others I don't remember off the top of my head, not being a Muslim. But those are, you make that profession of faith, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet, and then you begin to perform the 5 pillars of Islam. In Buddhism, you attempt to walk the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment. So there's this idea that with orthodoxy or right belief necessarily comes orthopraxy, right practice. That they can't be separated from one another. And I don't. I really like catechumens in kind of more liturgical traditions, Catholicism, Lutheranism, Anglicanism, and the Christian tradition, because here we go, in the throne room. Because there's a very specific process, and they don't let just anybody come in. Well, they do, but they say, okay, if you want to be a part of this, like, let's learn about the right way of doing it. And I think that was a major part of what a lot of the 19th century revivalist traditions were missing. There wasn't a series of checkups almost. And I'm not saying that, gosh, this is really difficult because we start to think that, oh, well, that means that you think that in order to be saved, you have to do certain things. And I think that the way that we talk about being saved has kind of made that a big deal. The original process of take that. It's a thunderbolt. Yes. The original process of becoming a follower of Jesus was not about becoming saved necessarily. It was about following an individual who was showing people the right way to live and the right way to accomplish life. And I think that when we reduce the idea of religious conversion to sort of a check mark or an afterlife accomplishment, or a sort of, come on, yeah, that was a really good one, or a sort of thing that we do so that we can keep living our life the way it is and sort of be safe. I think we miss out on a lot. And I think that's something that evangelical Christian traditions are missing, that a lot of other religious traditions just have spot on. Especially, I have a lot of respect for Muslims who follow the 5 pillars very, very faithfully. Because it's nice that even though Islam is not one giant monolithic thing, I think that in general it is less, not less diverse, because it's very diverse in an awesome way. But you go to Christianity and some people are like, well, here's this something that appears to be a very, very central tenet, and then like there are 18 different ways of thinking about it. So this could either betray my lack of understanding about Islam, or it could communicate that here's this thing that you do, and all Muslims agree to some extent, some way about the pillars of Islam, and then there's some sort of practice associated with that. I'm really showing a lot of my ignorance about that religion, and I don't want to disrespect any of the people who are a part of that tradition or do those things. So, I do welcome anybody who has thoughts or thinks that I'm missing something to be a part of that. But I think I really want to get across the point, something that a lot of Judeo-Christian traditions are missing in the West is the idea of kind of this unnecessary split between orthodoxy and orthopraxy. Like, in order to believe things rightly, you need to be doing them rightly. And if you're doing them rightly, it doesn't make any sense if you don't believe them rightly. So yeah, I think that's why it's problematic when evangelical Christians are like, well, we're not a work-based. Oh yes, oh, eat it. We're not a works-based thing. You can't get into heaven by working. Well, no, but it's still part of it. And I think with any religious tradition, if you say, I'm a Buddhist, and then don't do anything that the Buddha tells you, are you really a Buddhist? What do you gain? So yeah, anyway. Star time. So those are my thoughts about that. If you have thoughts, leave them in the comments. I'd love to know more. I'm always learning. Especially if you are a part of another religious tradition and you would like to elucidate some of those concepts, go for it. Let's learn together. So we got a star piece. We beat Mac and his jumping gang. That's a big old star piece. That's really important. Number 1. I believe there's 7. Got that star piece. Got that star piece. Do 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 do. Yep. Well, anyway, thanks for being here. Those guys are gonna bug out, and we'll see you guys next time on ToryTalks, because the mustachioed one is strong. We must warn the boss. Come on! See you guys later.